A very quick recap of the last 12 hours of the Vasco Dagama Ocean Race 2016. See if we can use this animation. As you can see, there they all broke free for the start. Izimoya went on their own track there. I'm not sure why or what happened there, but they soon discovered their mistake and then they turned back. I think it must have been pretty intense. The wind was blowing 20 to 30 knots, especially in this area over here. So my tactic that I suggested to guys would be not to go too far out, but actually to stay more inland. Reason being that there's quite a wind chop if the wind blows that hard, and it makes it very difficult on the beat. Of course, these racing boats really go well on a beat. So, I mean, these guys were doing 5.7 knots over here. 7 knots. And unfortunately, Schizo had to turn back because their mainsail ripped or something. They literally had to go and fetch another mainsail or get their sail stitched or something. And also, there was the other boat that turned back. Rocket took a piece of the warp from the start line with their rudder, so they went to clear their rudder. But the time here, this is like 1 hour after the start. See, Izimoya went and turned, and there the first. Okay, there's Schizo turning back to go and repair their sail. First boat starting to turn. And I think the reason why many of them took so long to turn is because they were looking for the current, which I don't think they really found. They probably just found very bad weather, big seas and howling winds. Schizo was doing 10 knots here. It's rather fast. And can speed things up a little bit. There we go. Now we can see 3 groups forming. There's this group here, and that group, and then these guys are all grouped together because they're all heading for the shore, and they're ducking out of bad conditions. If I was sailing, I would have probably gone into shore as well. There's a rocket turning back also. It's amazing, you'll see how a rocket catches up later on. So by 2 o'clock, 2:30, this is where the guys were at. Now look at this. I think Ray of Light had a really just a good strategy going for them there. They only tacked once and then they held their line. But I think I'm not sure what the wind was doing. Looks like that's the wind direction there. I don't know if they could have sailed a little bit closer to wind, and so that they could make their line more parallel with the coast instead of heading straight to the coast. Because what happened eventually is they ran into the coast and then they had to turn. And then they had to tack a lot. And I think that's where they lost time, really. Because, yeah, they were doing 6.3 knots, but it was, yeah, they ran out of sea, basically. The guys that turned later, like, who's this? Ichako. Not sure why they are traveling that slow, 3 knots. But it could just be that they had pretty bad sea state over there. Okay, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, going to 5 o'clock. Let's see how ray of light had to tack and tack. There they're trying to hold their line, but they have to tack again. And here we see Bellatrix. Now Bellatrix also, just after the turn, they tacked once and they just held their line. Now see how Bellatrix is now going to take the lead very soon. Come on. Speed it up a bit. Okay. 6 o'clock in the evening. The wind died considerably, but these guys out here are probably at this time still getting like 14 or 15 knots of wind, whereas the guys here on the inside, I think they get about I think 10 or less, maybe 5 to 10 knots. Interesting. See Eskel breaking away, and Bellatrix still holding the line, and Allmount Gairam also having a close race with Bellatrix. There was also between Alacrity and Dusky, they had quite a race going here, but then Alacrity broke away and Dusky decided to try and look for current, or I don't know why they're going out that far. Yeah, so Bellatrix still just holding the line. It's going straight, more or less. And this is 2 hours from now. It's now 12:30. So now you'll see at some point Yeskul is going to tack again on a port tack. And the distance at the moment at that point is 347 nautical miles, and there it's 337. So there's exactly 10 nautical miles difference, but Yeskul is definitely picking up more wind out here. You can see their speed also, it's 9 knots now, and Bellatrix 5.6 knots. I know the current is 1.5 knots close to the shore, but on the wind that you gain here, you can get more speed, I guess. Look how fast they are going now. 11.2 knots. That is incredibly fast. Obviously, on handicap, this is probably a faster boat. I don't know. L35 modified, what is that? Beneteau. So the hull speed would be higher for the bigger boat. So that's understandable. Still, okay, and we've almost reached where we're on now. I'm just gonna fast forward quickly. And now the line honors is now going to Yeskel, because they are still flying. They're flying at 9.6 knots. And we see Bellatrix is really slow. The wind probably died over there. I'm not sure where they are going, what they are doing. Sometimes these guys turn away, and I've also seen Dusky stop a few times. I don't know, sometimes the transmissions don't work or something, I don't know. But yeah, it just says they stopped. That's interesting. Yeah, so quite a close race between Yeskel and Bellatrix, but for some reason Bellatrix is now going very slow. These guys are also going 2 knots, so it must be that the wind died down now. Even All Mount Gay Rum is going at 4 knots. Yeah, the guys are crawling now. There's a leader, Wallbanger. They're also doing 2.8. There's an update. 5 knots, that's better. Yeskel 9.5 knots. So Yeskel is definitely getting the most wind right now, but the wind has pretty much died down over here. So they may still encounter some big waves in this area by Port Edward, but and the wind from the northeast or northwest, even northeast to northwest, anything with a northern in it, is only due to arrive tomorrow morning at about at first light, I think. So these guys have to keep on moving somehow. Let's have a look quickly. The wind, yeah, says tomorrow 4 o'clock it's going to start to turn. Let's see where the fleet is now. Across Port Edward, so they will be between Port Edward and Port St. John's. Well, that's not too far from now. 2 o'clock this morning, it's still going to blow against them, and then I wonder who's going to grab that wind first. It looks like it's going to be the guys in this area. Yeah, so let's see. It's possibly going to be Yeskel, or otherwise it's going to be Bellatrix if they can keep their line. But obviously the team that has their spinnaker up first, they're going to break away first. And I think whoever breaks away first is going to win this race if they can get their spinnaker up first. But yeah, then it looks like a good day of sailing the whole of tomorrow. And if they can get to Port St. John's in 12 hours, or like between Port Edward, Port St. John's, then they'll reach, where, East London. Yeah. Good winds, good winds. And then by Monday, see Monday, yeah, Monday morning the wind starts to turn, and then there's a southwester that's coming through. So interesting on the currents. The current at East London is pretty strong. If you look at that, it's 2.2 knots. So I think looking at the wind at that time, the guys that are far out when this happens, they can still run past East London and get sucked into this system if they are lucky. I'm not sure how much access there is to grab files and things on board, but there is Port Elizabeth, so you also don't want to run too far out, because then you're going to struggle to get back into Port Elizabeth, unless if you still run and then you turn here and you go on a beam reach. Well, you're going to go through a lot of points of sails, but if you maybe go down here and then you go up. Otherwise, I'd say sticking from East London, sticking close to shore again, maybe doing a run when there's going to be less swell, then doing a run and then turning back in on a close haul, and then using from East London forward, using that current to push you. 2.2 knots, I mean, I don't know. I would love to see what's going to happen tomorrow, but anyways, I am now going to bed. Thank you very much. Goodbye.